Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Thumbelina. This is not a Disney film. This is a 20th Century Fox film. I'm sure a lot of you already realize it wasn't a Disney film because, well, she's not in the stack of princesses we always talk about. This is a movie from 1994. It's an hour and 27 minutes long, and uh, yeah, it may not be a Disney film, but it has a lot of Disney DNA in it. It's directed by Don Bluth. If you know who Don Bluth is, he's one of the main animators in Disney way back in the day. We just saw the small one. He had also done that short um, a couple days ago, and he's he's also known for the video games Dragon's Lair and Space Ace. That's how I got to know who he is and appreciate his animation when I was younger. And in this case here, he's pretty much going back to the old school way of animating a Disney film. Back in the day, they used to do a lot of physical motion capture. I don't want to say motion capture like the little ping pong balls all over the bodysuit that they do like Avatar or whatever. This is more literally just filming actors doing their things and then animating over it, and pretty much every movement of Thumbelina and Prince Cornelius, is a real person, just animated over top of that person's performance. Uh, not only not only is Don Bluth, a big Disney connection, but we got Jodie Benson as Thumbelina. You know who Jodie Benson is? It's Ariel, the Little Mermaid, who had she had done this uh, done Little Mermaid, what, 5 years earlier? So yeah, it's there's of course then there's Gilbert Gottfried shows up as a beetle in it with his distinct raspy obnoxious voice. Sorry, Gilbert, but it's what it is. Um, he plays a bad guy, much like he played Iago in Aladdin. So there's probably a ton more connections that I'm not even seeing, but it's very much a Disney non-Disney film. It has all the parts except in name. So yeah, it's fairly standard story. Uh, I don't know if it. Thumbelina is old story from what I understand. I just don't know if it holds to the original too much. It it seems to. It's a musical. There's tons of music numbers by a whole bunch of different characters. It seems like Jodie Benson plays a girl who gets in, who quickly falls in love with a strange man the first moment she sees him, just like Ariel did with Eric. She meets Cornelius, and he sings beautifully just as she does, and people are really into her voice, just like Ariel, and they don't want to take it necessarily, but everybody wants to marry her. She's a human who's about the size of a thumb in a world full of talking animals, and there's toads, uh, like the sons of Charo. Charo plays, yeah. By the way, if you're not my age, you probably have no idea who Charo is. But Charo, big icon, especially in the '70s. Coochie coochie coochie. She plays a frog or a toad with who is a bit busty up top. Apparently they had to animate her just as she is in real life. I don't know, but she shakes and does her Charo thing. She has a bunch of sons, one of which she wants to marry off to Thumbelina. And we also have a mole who wants to get set up with her. The beetle played by Gilbert Gottfried is kind of a facilitator for the frog, for the toad, and she thinks because she met a guy and talked to him and he gave her a ring, uh, that she's engaged to him. And they spend the entire movie trying to find each other after they're separated. And winter's coming, so the Game of Thrones are starting. No, it's winter's coming and things are freezing over, and There's a lot of songs that are pretty grim. There's a lot of, I mean, not just the songs, but the dialogue. There's lots of talk of death and lots of talk of lots of singing about death. It just seems it's impossible. Nothing's impossible. And then there's a bird, a sparrow, I guess, who is named Giacomo, played by George, no, Gino Cantori. Yeah, I don't know. My eyes aren't good right now. He's he acts as a narrator who is also he's a framing sequence character as well, but also is a helper, the only true actual helper to Thumbelina. I think it tries to hit every single Disney note when it comes to constructing this thing. Song, song, song. By the way, all I think composed by Barry Manilow, another '70s icon. Yes, his career spanned outside of the '70s, but primarily that was his like heyday. He was a huge pop songwriter and performer back in those days. And he wrote the songs. You can hear him sing in the soundtrack over the credits at the end. Yeah, it's. I was kind of surprised it was Barry Manilow, but you can hear it once you realize it's Barry Manilow and you know who Barry Manilow is, what his songs sound like. Then you can hear him in a, even though he's not singing, you can hear him singing some of these songs, performed by the characters. So yeah, it's they try to hit the little kid sidekicks, the nosy neighbor kind of person, the kind of lecherous, creepy dudes who are all wanting to marry her. And marry is just sort of a nice way of saying something else. So they want to date her. They want to marry her, and what comes along with that. It's super creepy because this girl was just like born yesterday. She comes out of a flower, as the legend is. She comes out of a flower, and an adult human woman is growing this flower, and it opens up, and there's a little tiny girl inside, and she raises her as her own daughter. Thumbelina calls her mother, and then she's kind of despondent because, oh man, there's nobody else my size who's human. And she gets a little despondent until she finds Cornelius here and a number of other people who are, I guess, fairies. So, and then there goes the story, just spinning out from there. There's all sorts of songs and, oh no, he's dead. Oh no, she's dead. Oh, yeah. There's references to Romeo and Juliet and how they were dead, and Carol Channing sings a song about that. It's really, really, it's just an odd film. It like I said, it has elements of a Disney film, but it seems haphazard in how it's put together. It looks great. There's so much some of the character costume design, like her Thumbelina's wedding dress and her hair. Kind of interesting choice. It's very strange, but it stands out for me. That wedding dress stood out. Her hair, I should say. Her hair literally stood out. It's like two giant pigtails, but shooting out sideways from her head. Yeah, I don't know how she did it, but it's a cartoon. So, yeah, it's lots of feelings of despondency, singing its way through it, singing her singing in ways to convince her to do things she doesn't want to do, and then singing to show that they're reunited. Say, yeah, I spoiled it. Of course, it's going to be a happy ending. So it's just the way it is. Like I said, it's a very strange film. It seems like it wants to jam in every single Disney thing all at once in a hour and a half. It's really strange. And this art here doesn't really seem to reflect what the real art is like in the film. Again, it's made in 1994, but it feels like it was made in the 1960s. and that's not a bad thing. It's just weird. It's a weird choice. And in fact, there's even a moment where it almost looks like it's a 3D moment, as they, like, if they move through the town, the camera moves through the town. The buildings almost look three-dimensional, 3D animated, but they're also flat because they're just layered behind each other. I don't know how to explain it. You'll have to see it for yourself. But there is no end to the amount of characters. Just as I'm seeing a little slideshow here as I'm talking to you, I'm just like, oh, I forgot about that, and I forgot about that. There's so many just crazy things in this movie. I can't say that I'm like, oh my gosh, I loved it, because it's not something I'm gonna watch again. It's not. Maybe it's a classic to some people. Maybe they grew up with this one. I don't know. I didn't even know it existed. I didn't even know if it actually came out in theaters. I mean, this is a Hans Christian Andersen based story. I have a feeling that original story was not exactly depicted properly here. I don't know. Yeah, it's just odd. But yeah, give it a shot if that's your thing. If you need one more, if you've seen all the other princess movies and you need one more that maybe could have would have been a princess if it had been produced by a different company. But yeah, it's not a must see, but it's still all right. All right, let's pick tomorrow's episode.
320.
320. Okay. Documentary time. I think this is just a one episode thing, but we're going south of the border. We're going to Mexico Untamed. So, all right. Checking that out tomorrow. Mexico Untamed on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.